What's up, guys? The goal for an NFL quarterback is kind of simple. Play very well for a long enough period of time to the point where you have secured your starting position by bringing your team success every year. The alternative is to be mediocre or terrible and thus have to fight for your starting job every year, year in and year out. Heading into 2019, about 1/3 of potential starting QBs are facing immense pressure to perform well. Some of them are rookies, second or even third-year guys. Others are established veterans who have to show they still have it. But these guys all have one thing in common. They have a lot of doubters to silence this upcoming season. I'm Jason Biondo, and today we dive into 10 quarterbacks with the most to prove in 2019. And don't forget to leave your video ideas down below. We'll be looking, and if we choose your video idea, we're going to give you a shout out in the video. So do that. Don't forget to subscribe to TPS and put on your notifications because we post videos every single day. Every day is a new video. Oh my god, oh, new video. Oh. I don't know what that was. Subscribe. I don't know. I like to have fun. I don't care. Number 10, Daniel Jones. We should have Jones higher on this list, but it's just so hard to know if he'll even start in 2019. And if he does, we don't expect to see very many starts anyway. Eli Manning is going to remain the starter for the time being, but if and when he eventually sees playing time, you can bet the pressure will be on Jones to play well. Scouts, rival executives, fans, and media members all over the country laughed at the New York Giants for taking Jones at number 6 overall. Why? Because Dwayne Haskins and Drew Lock are better prospects, and the Giants could have easily traded down to land Jones later. It doesn't help that Jones is playing in the unkind and high-pressure New York market. One bad throw, one interception, one bad game, and he won't hear the end of it. Jones might only start somewhere for 1 to 5 games in 2019, but he has to show some flashes and display some confidence. Otherwise, Jones and the Giants won't hear the end of it, and the young QB doesn't need that. Number 9, Nick Foles. Sure, Nick Foles led the Philadelphia Eagles to a Super Bowl 52 championship, and he got them to the playoffs again in 2018, replacing an injured Carson Wentz mid-season in back-to-back years. But we're sure Foles doesn't want his legacy to be the guy who filled in for Wentz. The next chapter of his career starts up with the Jacksonville Jaguars, who signed Foles to a lucrative 4-year, $88 million contract. Foles replaces Blake Bortles, who was mercilessly released after 5 frustrating seasons. The Jaguars are expecting Foles to take them back into championship contention after a dismal 5-win season. The Jaguars' elite defense will keep them in games. It's up to Foles to carry an offense that's been quite awful for, about a decade. And counting, maybe. Here is Foles' chance to go from a one-time Super Bowl champion and MVP to a Hall of Famer. He just has to show that his 2 tenures in Philly weren't flukes, that he's actually a great quarterback that can win outside of Philadelphia. So good luck, Nick. We're all pulling for you. Number 8, Lamar Jackson. The Baltimore Ravens' decision to trade up and get Lamar Jackson with the number 32 pick in 2018 paid major dividends. All he did was go 6-1 as the starter, replacing an injured and struggling Joe Flacco, before leading Baltimore to the AFC North Division title. Well, the Ravens don't want Jackson to stop there. He obviously has to grow as a passer, having only thrown 170 attempted passes while rushing the ball 29 times. Jackson is a super talented QB, but defenses will be all over him if he just keeps running. He must develop his passing game as well. So yeah, the pressure's on big time. The Ravens went to work in trying to rebuild the offense around Jackson. They signed reliable veteran running back Mark Ingram Jr. and drafted a pair of talented wide receivers in Marquise Brown and Miles Boykin. The Ravens' elite defense, which added Earl Thomas and Jalen Ferguson, should be just fine in 2019, but the Ravens' Super Bowl hopes depend on Jackson and the offense. So can he take his game to another level? He had to show that the short 7-game sample size from 2018 wasn't just luck, but rather a sign of what's to come in Baltimore. Number 7, Josh Rosen. The Arizona Cardinals drafted Rosen 10th overall in 2018, but how things can change in such little time. The Cardinals earned the number 1 pick in 2019 and decided to draft Heisman Trophy winner Kyler Murray. That ended the Rosen era in Arizona, and he was sent to the Miami Dolphins for the number 62 selection in 2019 and a 2020 5th-round pick. And just like that, Rosen is the quarterback of the future in Miami. He doesn't have to be a Pro Bowler in 2019, but Rosen needs to show some promise after a not-so-great rookie year. Rosen only won 3 starts and threw 11 touchdowns against 14 interceptions in Arizona. Rosen is working with a rookie head coach in Brian Flores, who was hired after a decade and a half with the New England Patriots. It's a brand new coaching staff with a bunch of young players and almost no veteran Pro Bowl talent. Rosen just has to have some success and show that he can lead Miami to a new era of winning. If he struggles, well, let's just say Miami might not be able to pass up on the chances to draft a different QB of the future from the stacked 2020 class. Number 6, Kyler Murray. We could have him higher on this list, but it's always important to give young quarterbacks 1 or 2 years before you judge them. Such is the case for Kyler Murray, the number 1 pick in the 2019 draft. The Arizona Cardinals already had their quarterback of the future in Josh Rosen, but they were all over Murray after securing the 1st overall pick. Arizona head coach coach Cliff Kingsbury had his eyes set on Heisman Trophy winner, and everybody knew for months that Murray would go number 1, even though some scouts didn't even rank him as a top 10 prospect. Arizona has wasted no time building around Murray. They already have 2 big-time talents in Larry Fitzgerald and David Johnson, plus a rising stud in wideout Christian Kirk. Arizona also drafted Andy Isabella and Hakeem Butler in order to bolster their depth at wide receiver. Murray doesn't have to light it up like Baker Mayfield did as a rookie, but he certainly has to show some promise. He's going to be compared to Rosen for years to come now. Fair or not, it's up to the number 1 overall pick to show Arizona that they made the right choice. The Cardinals invested their entire future in Murray. Now he's got to repay them. Number 5, Sam Darnold. The New York Jets moved up to get Sam Darnold at number 3 overall in the 2018 draft. There were some ups, but also plenty of downs in his rookie year. Darnold went 4-9 as a starter and had 17 touchdowns against a whopping 15 interceptions. Well, the Jets don't want to wait around. The front office did all it could this offseason to ensure Darnold takes it to another level in year 2. Offensive genius Adam Gase was hired as the new head coach, and they fired Mike McCagnon. Classic Jets. The Jets went out and signed Pro Bowl running back Le'Veon Bell. They added slick and speedy wideout Jamison Crowder. Now it's up to Darnold to take advantage of a rebuilt offense with a new head coach. Darnold doesn't have to be an MVP in 2019, and he doesn't have to take the Jets to the playoffs. It'd be nice if he did, but he doesn't have to. But he does have to cut down on the turnovers and start growing into that top-tier pocket passer that the Jets envisioned when they took him in 2018. If Darnold struggles aplenty in his sophomore year, the Jets might have to reconsider a new coaching staff, and the new offensive scheme, and the new supporting cast on offense. To us, it sounds easier if Darnold just takes advantage of the changes and grows into a better player. Number 4, Joe Flacco. Expectations seem to be fairly low for the Super Bowl 47 MVP, but 2019 could mark Joe Flacco's last chance to show the world he's still capable of being a starting quarterback in the NFL. Flacco lost his starting job to Lamar Jackson in Baltimore, and the Broncos picked up Flacco via trade for a mid-round selection. The Broncos aren't quite a Super Bowl contender, but they have supplied Flacco with some quality playmakers here. This includes Pro Bowl wideout Emmanuel Sanders, stud running back Phillip Lindsay, and another promising receiver in Courtland Sutton. The Broncos' biggest haul in this offseason was Iowa tight end Noah Fant with the number 20 pick in the draft. The man has perennial Pro Bowl written all over him, but the Broncos also drafted Missouri quarterback Drew Lock in the second round, which instantly puts pressure on Flacco. If the Super Bowl winning quarterback can't put it all together, the Broncos are going to give Lock the starting duties. Flacco doesn't have to be great. He has a strong rushing game built around him, and the Broncos have a championship caliber defense. If he can return to the game manager role he embraced in Baltimore, Flacco will buy himself more time in Denver. But if he can't produce, his tenure in the Mile High City will be short, and Flacco may be forced to become a backup QB for the rest of his career. Number 3, Carson Wentz. The number 2 overall pick in 2016 endured an MVP-like season in 2017. But as you recall, Carson Wentz tore his ACL in a road game against the Los Angeles Rams, and journeyman backup Nick Foles was forced to come in and take over as the starter. And the rest, as they say, is history. Foles led the Eagles to a Super Bowl 52 championship, the first in franchise history. Everybody was quite certain that the Eagles were still Wentz's team heading into the 2018 season. Foles started the first 2 games before Wentz finally returned in week 3, but he lost 5 of his 11 starts, and the Eagles shut down Wentz for the final few games as he dealt with a nagging back injury. Foles led the Eagles to 3 straight wins to close out the regular season, and they got back to the playoffs for a second straight year. They reached the NFC divisional round before falling to the New Orleans Saints. Well, despite Foles' incredible heroics in back-to-back years, the Eagles decided to keep Wentz. The former, as we discussed, signed with Jacksonville in free agency. Now it's up to Wentz to deliver. Dealing with knee and back injuries early in his career is far from encouraging. If Wentz is hurt or struggles, Philly doesn't have a good secondary option. It's all up to Wentz, plain and simple. He has to stay healthy and produce. Not only that, but Wentz has to lead Philly into the playoffs. The talent is there to win more Super Bowls. Can he go out and follow in Foles' footsteps? Or will GM Howie Roseman regret choosing Wentz over Foles? It's up to Wentz to show Philly that they made the right choice. Number 2, Baker Mayfield. It seems a tad bit unfair to put this much pressure on a sophomore quarterback, but the Cleveland Browns love Baker Mayfield's rookie year to the point where they decided it was time to go all in and compete for a Super Bowl, rather than continue to slowly rebuild. Controversial as it is, the Browns decided to add running back Kareem Hunt, and he's a pretty good compliment for Nick Chubb, not long after the former was cut by the Kansas City Chiefs for kicking a woman. Even if Hunt doesn't pan out, Chubb is a rising star on his own. He'll ensure the Browns maintain a productive ground game. And of course, GM John Dorsey traded for Odell Beckham Jr., the NFL's 3rd best wide receiver behind Antonio Brown and Julio Jones. OBJ and Jarvis Landry, 2 of the game's elite offensive playmakers, are also joining forces. It's pretty dope. Mayfield has all the tools to piece together an MVP-like season now, and his Browns are expected to not only make the playoffs, playoffs, but to compete for a Super Bowl. Mayfield should do just fine in his sophomore year, but you do wonder if the amount of pressure may get to him. Mayfield did wonders in his rookie year, but if he doesn't get the Browns to the playoffs in 2019, the season will be considered a disappointment. He simply has to live up to all the hype and expectations. No excuses. But you know what? I look like him, so I think he'll be fine. People who look like this, they succeed. Look at me. I'm on TPS. Number 1, Derek Carr. With all due respect to Nathan Peterman and Mike Lennon, none of the Oakland Raiders backup QBs are able to take the starting job away from Derek Carr. But John Gruden and Mike Mayock made a gutsy call not drafting a quarterback in 2019. Rather, they decided to build around Carr. In comes All-Pro wideout Antonio Brown, offensive lineman Trent Brown, and Alabama running back Josh Jacobs. There are no more excuses for Carr. Gruden and Mayock have given him the resources to regain his 2016 form. It's up to Carr to hold down the fort and show the Raiders that he is their quarterback of the future. If Carr falls on his face in 2019, then the Raiders will be moving on and will happily take a new quarterback in the stacked 2020 draft class. Reports suggested that Carr had been falling out of favor in the Oakland locker room, but the Raiders have given him plenty of star power to work with. If Carr can't take advantage of that, then he'll be gone from Oakland. Carr has only put it all together in 2 of his 5 seasons. The Raiders can't wait around forever. 2019 is now or never for Carr. It's not rocket science. It's that simple. What other quarterbacks have the most to prove in 2019? Join me in the comment section below. Make sure to follow myself and TPS on social media. We post great content all the time. Really entertaining, funny stuff. If you want more of me, then subscribe to my YouTube channel right here. I post videos every single week, and they're great. Subscribe to TPS because we post videos every single day. Every day is a new video. Subscribe. Subscribe to everything. Go do it. If you like this video, give it a like. It takes 1 click right down there. Smash the like button. Can we change it? Can we not call it smash the like button? Can we call it like gently caress the like button or something? I don't know, whatever. Of course, thank you so much for watching. I'm Jason Biondo, and I'll see you next time.
My knee.